Sin stocks, sin stocks, sin stocks, sin stocks, sin stocks. We're talking about sin stocks. I want to talk today about sin stocks.
Hello, stock pickers. Last week, it was all about irrelevant dividends. Now this week, it's all about Altria. Seemed like every investing group or YouTube comments I would be reading, it was a non-stop chatter about how great Altria was and how their stock was going to save the world with their 8% dividend yield. Then you have people on the other side who are trying to win the Nobel Peace Prize by saying how evil sin stocks are. And then you have me in the middle, just minding my own business, or should I say businesses. Today we will talk all about sin stocks, how many I own, and what I think about the morality of sin stocks. Before we start, I just want to say how amazed I was that my last video basically went viral. For a small-time YouTuber like me, who spends hours working on, researching, animating, and editing videos for completely free, this is basically the closest I will probably ever get to going viral. I mean, it's not at Graham Stephan levels or anything. I just want to say hello to all my new subscribers and to all the old ones for always sticking with me. And that's what really makes this journey worthwhile for me. Also, if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe as I put out personal finance and investing videos multiple times a week. Now, a sin stock is a company that is involved in what others may perceive as immoral or unethical business activity. This includes addictive substances or anything used for harm of humans or the environment, etc. Industries that usually spring to mind are alcohol, tobacco, gambling, or weapons manufacturing. Typically, when one does an investment, they hope that there's a mutual benefit, obviously with them themselves making a return on their money, and then two, they're hoping that society is better off now because of their investment. This isn't necessarily true with sin stocks. The world would possibly be better off without these vices. At the same time though, I can understand the other argument, which is, just because I don't go out and buy cigarette and alcohol companies, that doesn't mean that consumers are just going to stop doing this and somebody is always going to be making a profit at the end of the day. So you might as well just get in on some of those earnings. The popular tobacco company Altria saw a 14,000% return from 1970 to 2018, meaning a $10,000 investment would be worth nearly $1.5 million today. Even in times of recession, people will still be drinking alcohol and they will still be smoking cigarettes. People try super hard to quit smoking. It's not like they're just going to stop because of an economic slowdown. It's also no wonder why people who gamble are often the poorest of people, especially the ones that try to win the lottery or you see at the casino all the time. So we know there's always going to be a great demand for sin stocks, and these typically do very well during recessions. They also often have very high margins, and their products can be sold worldwide. The demand for these products is also less elastic, meaning they can adjust their prices accordingly, and they won't see too significant of a swing in demand. Since sin stocks right off the bat lose so many investors because of their industry, they need to be giving out generous dividends to entice investors. Also, because they have many solid financials and chances of large future returns, they can trade at great values because many investors just automatically ignore them. Of course, that doesn't mean sin stocks don't come without risk. There can be government regulations that limit their business. We're already seeing this with some of the vaping bans that states have been putting in place after a couple of deaths from vaping-related products. There can be changes in consumer sentiment, such as the smoking rate has gone down considerably in the past couple decades. They can easily face lawsuits since their products are not exactly saving lives, as well as many social risks, depending on what just happened in the world. And it might be maybe in a couple of years immoral to owning a gun, or it just might be bad press for that particular time. Won't maybe always stay that way, but just for a short amount of time, you could see lingering sales. Now, what's my opinion on sin stocks? Well, I personally think that sin stocks are literally everywhere. In order to be a successful company, I would almost say it's a prerequisite to be engaging in some sort of shady business. Also, we have many businesses that don't offer a lot of healthy products, and no one ever bats an eye. In fact, you probably own plenty of them in your portfolio. Let me show you an example of the soft drink companies like Pepsi and Coca-Cola. They sell very sugary drinks to people and are certainly adding to America's obesity problem, with nearly 40% of Americans being overweight. This leads to many possible health risks and considerably raises the chances of a premature death. Yet I never hear anyone consider Coca-Cola or Pepsi as a sin stock. Coca-Cola even has its own Wikipedia page for all of its different scandals, varying from environmental issues to animal testing to racial discrimination. You have big pharma companies like Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and AbbVie all lobbying with Congress to sway public policies in their favor. They may lie about clinical trials and the safety of their products, and they also have been getting people addicted to opioids, which is a huge crisis today. Again, nobody talks about them as sin stocks necessarily. That doesn't mean that they don't get negative press though. Credit card companies make a lot of money when you fail to make a payment, and now you have a ballooning interest rate to pay them off as well. They go after consumers who maybe don't fully understand their credit card system and the penalties and interest associated with them. And don't even get me started about big banks. Bernie Madoff probably wrote the ethics on banks. Now, I know as soon as I turned 18, it seemed like every bank was trying to get me to open up a new credit card with them. I wonder why that was. Oil companies have their fair share of oil spills, as well as taking advantage of third world countries for their oil reserves. The point I'm trying to make here is that all companies engage in borderline unethical business practices, and the morality of all stocks needs to be taken into question. For every bad thing that they do, I would hope that they do something 10 times as positive for the world. To say that there is only a few sin stock categories to me is ludicrous. Really, sin stocks are us. For all companies have sinned and all fall short of the glory of the investor. Now that's a little parody of Romans 3:23 for those interested. At the end of the day, I would always preach individual responsibility and that people should first do what they feel is the best choice for themselves, and then they need to own that decision. Now, do I own Altria? No, unfortunately, I do not own it. Its high dividend yield of, 8% now is very attractive, but I just can't get behind companies that I don't believe in their business or their product. To me, that is one of the most important factors when buying a stock. Now, I'll share a little anecdotal story to why I feel this way. As I was graduating college, that's when vaping and Juul really took off. Like, I'm not even kidding. This is when people would be at parties, they would just sit in their corners passing around a vape pen and putting it into their mouths like total addicts. I just think it's a very childish activity to be doing, and I think it originally started as a way for people to quit smoking, but now it seems like they've really just substituted one addiction for another one. Now, I have plenty of friends who smoke or vape. This isn't me condemning them or anything like that. I'm just saying why I can't get behind Altria. Also, because of its cult-like status in the last couple of weeks, that makes me not want to invest in a company like this. I don't try to invest in companies that everyone's just raving about. I don't really like following the herd. Now, that's just me personally. In terms of Altria for its future, it probably will be paying out dividends. That's the real reason why everyone holds on to this stock, not for its capital appreciation. If it's giving you about an 8% return, it's probably going to continue to do that for the foreseeable future, just because people all over the world will be smoking, just as they've done for thousands of years in one way or another. So I can see why there's a lot of buzz behind this stock, but I just personally am not a fan. So what's your take on sin stocks, guys? Do you agree with me that they really are everywhere? Or is it just a couple of few select stocks and that I don't have it right here? As always, guys, I want to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content.